What's going on, people? Welcome to the Morning View. Happy Wednesday, 6th of March. Hope you guys are doing well. Another jam-packed show for you guys, man. Get involved in the comments. Get involved in the chat. Get your super chats in. Get your members chats in. And get your regular chats in. We want to hear from you. We're going to be talking about Ten Hag with no reassurances. More reports yesterday evening sort of just claiming that Ten Hag hasn't got the vote of confidence maybe he would be seeking. The Zerbi price set, apparently there's a compensation, big piece in the Telegraph sort of stating what the compensation would be. And as it stands, there's still been no Ten Hag decision. So much to talk about. There is a piece on the overlap as well with Gary Neville and co. Oliver
we were just talking about. That's why we were a bit late. We were just talking about that, and we were sort of going, do we discuss it now, or do we have a bit of a deeper dive? That's going to be coming up later on today, isn't it, Flex? With a general reaction to it, because I tell you what, it's a jam-packed episode as well. I mean, it dropped at 8 o'clock, I think, this morning, and it's an hour and 20, so you can't even watch it all the way through before we went live. It's that long. It's too big, but it's very interesting from what I've seen so far.
Yes, exactly. And at the moment, when you haven't watched it all, obviously you're just getting, some of the main quotes of aggregator accounts and stuff like that, which when you want to give your opinion on, what the ex-manager said and some of the things, you kind of want to watch it properly. So we want to do that. Like Owen said, we'll get into a deeper dive of that. But housekeeping rules, as per usual, we want to get to those 250 likes. Right now, there's just under 300 of you watching live, which is great after a couple of minutes. Please get involved in the chat. Please like the video. We'll get to 250 and then we will go from there. Owen, straight in. Oh, actually, before I do that, let's say hello to some people in the chat. Let's see who has checked in. We've got Kristen, we've got Vegeta, we have got Matifalu, we have got Tabrez, we've got Joe Blackman as always, we've got Marion Jones, Minna, I've seen Minna, big up to Minna, Imran, I see you, and Jamai, I see you. There's so many people. Descendants of the First Crackhead is in here as well. Nikhil, and that's just the members. If we're talking about people who aren't members, I see Aslan, I see Sean, I see Byron. Who else do I see? I see Abjit. Who else have we got here? Jan, Paul Griffith, loads of people getting in. So whether you are a member or not, we see you, we hear you. Big up DJ as well. He's there. Steffi's there. Supreme. Hamish, Fat Thor, everybody is there. Whether you're a member or you're not, you will be shouted out. You will be part of this show. And an early super chat from JD Carmela says, big up UV family. Eric Ten Hag players. Oh, sorry. Eric Ten Hag in, players out. Very, very simple there from JD Carmela. Big up to everyone in the chat. Gavin Doyle, I see you. Wagwan Flex and Owen. Big up to you, bro.
Yes, let's get into these stories, because we're into that territory again, Flex. And the territory we're in is, if you like the news, it's true. If you don't like it, it's rubbish. It's not true. I can't believe you would believe this. It's like De Gea, Ronaldo, the takeover stuff. Once again, we're into that territory, which is always the fun territory to be in, isn't it? I'm being facetious there. But so news came out yesterday from Rob Dawson from ESPN, and this is quite an interesting one. And this kind of, I suppose, this kind of does explain why maybe some of these sort of fringe managers have been linked to United in the last few days, because their agents are linking them to Manchester United and actually approaching the club. So he said that Manchester United have been approached by representatives of several managers believing that Eric Ten Hag could be removed from his post before the start of next season, sources have told ESPN. He continued by saying, though, but Ten Hag has been fully involved in planning for the summer, both in terms of identifying transfer targets and organizing the preseason tour of the United States. But a source has told ESPN the 54-year-old has been given no formal guarantee by new minority owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe or his team that he'll be in charge next season. This did actually kind of remind me, Flex, that Wayne Rooney was recently on the overlap, and he said that even after the FA Cup final, when Louis van Gaal won the trophy, the next day he was handing out pre-season schedules to the players. And of course, he already knew at the time he was going to be sacked. So that bit at the top there, when they're talking about summer targets and pre-season stuff, it really is no guarantee when it comes to your future. Finally, though, it says it has prompted approaches from out-of-work managers and others who are currently in jobs to find out whether there will be a vacancy. United, according to sources, have taken on board information about what different coaches have planned for the future and what other interest there is in acquiring their services. But there has been no formal discussions with any candidates. ESPN has contacted Manchester United for comment. They had to put that in there because last time they didn't do that.
Don't want to get banned. Rob Dawson's like, I ain't getting banned.
Exactly. But what do you make of all this? Because yesterday was a busy day, and we'll get to Zerbi in a bit. But what did you make of everything yesterday? Because it did feel like yesterday in particular was a strong day for, well, there might be other people out there. And, well, Erik ten Hag, he hasn't been really given any reassurances about his future. And, well, maybe Ineos might be looking to make a change at the end of the season. They haven't made a decision, but they're considering all of their options right now. Do you feel like there is something rumbling? Do you feel like something is sort of bubbling when it comes to his future?
Yeah, I feel like I feel like it's Ineos keeping their options open. I feel like it's Ineos listening to people, to the market, listening to the intentions of some of the managers, and just getting a feel for what's out there. And we have to understand that is what they should be doing. If they're not sure where they're going with it, Gary Neville sort of said they've decided already. Paul Scholes said, some people think they've decided already. And if they have decided already, then they would be doing this. Just because there's no formal discussions, it doesn't mean that nothing's going on in the background. And if they're not sure on Erik ten Hag, or they are going to make a change, they would be doing this. I think what would be holding them up, though, which is, I remember when Ineos were on their way in, we sort of said it back then that one of the things, or quite a few of the things that are keeping Erik going, where we know he's fairly safe right now, is the fact that Sir Jim Ratcliffe is not even in yet. Like it's been announced, but he's not there yet. Hasn't been ratified, or all this stuff's going on in the background. There's too much. There's John Murtough and Richard Arnold on the way out can't get rid of Ten Hag. Like it's not going to happen. So he got a lot more time just off that. Now I think he's probably also getting more time. Not saying that if they didn't have this time, he's definitely gone, but what it's definitely helped him is the fact that, Dan Ashworth's not there yet. Omar Barada hasn't quite started yet. Like they can't do it yet. But what they can do is Sir Dave Brailsford, Jean-Claude Blanc and Sir Jim can start having a listen. And I'm not surprised to hear that other managers, agents are going, tell you what, mate, it could be a vacancy here. Because that's what happens. How many times have you spoke about it, Owen, that this summer is a massive summer for football.
Football. There's
Barcelona
so much
in the
change.
hunt. Bayern Leverkusen probably going to need a new manager. Bayern Munich need a new manager already. We know that. Liverpool need a new manager. And if you add Man United in, potentially, if Ineos think that's 5 big transitions. And there
could be more. I mean, they're the ones that, like I said, maybe put Man United to one side, but those ones you've already mentioned.
Might go, so Chelsea will probably need a new manager.
Newcastle might go, I tell you what, it's not maybe the season we thought, or maybe we want to make the next step. Like there's a lot of moving parts this summer. And sometimes there is a fear of missing out when they're going to tell you what, if we don't make a move this summer, we might be left behind a little bit. And people are going to be available this summer. That's also an important point, which is kind of the Zerbi point, which we'll get to. But like I said before, and I'm kind of saying it facetiously, but it is true. We are in that territory, a bit like when we were in the takeover stuff. Depending on what side you're on is whether you believe the story that comes out, isn't it? That's where we're at now. Whether it was before, it was like if you were very pro-Qatar, when there was a pro-Qatar story came out, that was definitely true. If it was like an anti-Qatar story, it's definitely not true.
It was mental. When you think of some of the things we discredited Sir Jim with, when it was like, we don't want the guys who's going to stay with the Glazers. And now we're like, this guy's done really
exactly
well. Like,
and we should learn our and we won't but we should learn our lesson when it comes to that, of a bit of like media literacy, where it's like, obviously don't believe everything you read, but just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's necessarily not true. Now, what ESPN put out yesterday, is it all completely true? Probably not. That's journalism. There's things that they get from sources, then they embellish, or they take leaps, or they guess. Like that's how it works. But we have seen, and I've mentioned it on a couple of the match view pre-matches that I've done recently, with the links of Thomas Tuchel keeps going, I'd love Man United. Of course he would love Man United. So that's why his agent keeps linking him to Man United. I remember we talk about Ollie on the overlap. When he got sacked, for like a week or 2 weeks before he went to Spurs, Antonio Conte was desperate for the Man United job to the point that they were going, sources in Italy saying he's having talks. There were no talks. He just really wanted the job and his agent was linking into the job. So of course that's going to come. That's going to happen. That's going to happen between now and the end of the season, that people are like, oh, this person's being linked with a job, because that's part of the game. I tend to believe the reality of the situation is, like you said, that Ineos probably have an idea of what direction, when Sir Jim, Dave Brailsford, have an idea of what direction they want to go in. They're not going to make that call until the end of the season, or until the season sort of mathematically is over. Let's say we go out of the FA Cup. Let's say Champions League becomes an impossibility mathematically. Then maybe they'll say, oh, we might get a head start on what we want to do next season, whether that's getting rid of Ten Hag, or whether that's actually giving him a new contract and saying, hey, you're the guy, this is what we're doing. They're probably going to wait until that. They've probably got an idea of what they're going to do in their heads, though, I think. And like you said, until Dan Ashworth is sorted, maybe not in post, because he might not be in post come the summer, but until that's sorted and they know the future, Omar Barada, there were rumors he might have even technically been doing some work where he wasn't meant to be doing some work, which is a very fine line. Yeah, exactly. But the point being is, until those things are sorted, and there was reports yesterday about Jason Wilcox and Dougie Friedman, but that was pushed back on as well. Until those things are sorted, then I don't think Ineos are going to make officially that decision. But I do agree with what Gary Neville and Paul Scholes are saying. Why would they be sitting here now in March and being like, what are you going to do in the summer? I don't know. Of course they've got an idea. Of course they've got an idea of what they're going to be doing. Of course they do. And it might be flexible. It might be written in pencil as opposed to pen right now. So they can rub it out. So they can rub it out if things change. But they'll have an idea as to what they're going to do. And we have seen in football that, particularly when it comes to sort of managerial appointments and sort of big managerial appointments, they don't tend to happen overnight. You have to send out feelers first and do your due diligence and find out how much they're available for, if they've got a release clause, this, that, and the other. So I'm sure, as the article says, they're doing their due diligence. So let's see who's available. Let's weigh up our options, because if come the summer, there is no good option for them there, then they might go, oh, there's no better option than Eric. Let's keep Eric.
Exactly. They've got to do it. And look, I know, on the Flex and KG show, it was a really good show yesterday. KG has some really good thoughts and takes on, why Ineos should stick with Eric. And I admitted that I'm in the middle. I genuinely am. And I know that's the boring answer, get off the fence. I think quite recently, you guys can see I ain't been on the fence. I've been saying how I feel. But with this bit about whether Eric should stay on the go, I am genuinely in the middle, and I wasn't before. So that would suggest that I've come down off that. But because I understand why Ineos would want to change him. I do. I get it. I fully get it. And like I said yesterday in the Flex and KG show, I'm not in the camp of, if they let him go, I think they're making a massive mistake that I don't believe they would be. However, and this is why I'm in the middle, there's a big part of me that's like, I do kind of want Eric to be able to survive, though. And there's a new structure and it's different, and the types of players and direction we go in and how we want to play football is different. And they start getting rid of those types of players and saying, you're not buying this type, you're not buying that type. This is the mold we want. You have to agree with it. And we work then and see what it looks like. There's a big part of me like that. And that's why I'm like this. But I just feel, with the way I think the season's going to go from here on out, which is more inconsistencies, we'll win a couple, lose a couple, this, that, and the other. If we go out to Liverpool, it's just everything's over. Everything's over. It'll be a bitter pill to take to go out to Liverpool as well. And the league, will be X amount of points behind Villa unless that changes before that game. And then that's how fine the margins are. But then if you beat Liverpool and everyone was up and it was a great performance, it just makes it Ineos, okay, let's just see. And then if we win the next, we'd be in the semi-final, wouldn't we? If we beat, is that the quarterfinals?
Yeah, we'd be.
So we'd be at Wembley against someone difficult, because who's still in it?
Big team's still in it.
City,
Newcastle. Chelsea still in it.
Chelsea is still in it.
Not Newcastle, because they went out to City. Spurs went. Spurs in it.
Spurs went out to City.
Villa.
Villa are still in it. But anyway, we'd go to Wembley in a semi-final. No, I'll probably have to play Man City, but it would change things. And then if you got to that semi-final and you won it, and then you're in the final, But again, then you're into Louis van Gaal territory. You know, to win the FA Cup, we still think this or we still think that. I just don't know if there's enough to have like a short-term uplift of like a few results and we get gassed again and then back down to reality, or whether they've made their mind up just in total. We just don't know. What I'm just aware of and I'm fully comfortable with is the fact that it is uncertain. There is no guarantees he's going to be here. I don't know how people think there's a guarantee that he's going to be here, because there isn't, in my opinion.
No, there isn't. And like I said, I think that I do tend to agree that Ineos haven't made a final decision, but I do think that they have a roadmap of where they want to go. They have a roadmap of what they're looking for and maybe who they're looking at as well. And I mean, ultimately, I want any manager to succeed. I was chatting to KG about this on the phone the other day, because he was like, "Oh, so what?" He was doing it. So what do you want? What do you want? And I was like, I always want a manager to succeed. I wanted Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to succeed. I wanted Jose Mourinho to succeed, and I would want.
Oh yeah, sorry, Newcastle Island. Sorry, Villarreal.
I'd want Erik ten Hag to be there in the dugout at the beginning of next season, because if he's in the dugout at the beginning of next season, that would to me suggest that between now and the end of the season, something went right. And he managed to turn it around, or he managed to get enough momentum. And, you know, and I don't think Erik ten Hag's a bad coach. There is a lot of sort of revisionism about, you know, that he's just rubbish. He's terrible coach. Not terrible coach. But at the same time, there's also a lot of, and I say this so many times about stats, and you brought it up yesterday in Flex and KG, and this was the perfect example of it, of people will go, Erik ten Hag should stay because of his win percentage, like highest win percentage or whatever. And I think he has dropped actually just a little bit below Mourinho now. But he had the highest win percentage. But then at the same time, you can then point out the stats like you pointed out yesterday, where you go, well, actually, he's only one defeat away from matching Mourinho's time in a significantly lesser amount of games. Or you can talk about goals conceded, or you can talk about trophies. Like, you can find a stat to support any argument you want. There are plenty of stats that will be like, see, this is why Erik ten Hag should stay. And there are plenty of stats that will say this is why Erik ten Hag should go. There's also a lot of people doing comparisons that aren't totally comparable. So people are doing the Arteta thing, aren't they? Look at Mikel Arteta. This is why he should be given time. And you go, well, okay, that's an example of giving a manager time and it worked out, and he had to get rid of a lot of players, and it's worked out for him. Now they're challenging for a title. Fair play. Haven't won a trophy, I mean, since his first one, the FA Cup, but he's challenging for a title, and he's sort of re-established Arsenal at the top of the league. Fair enough. But then you go, but it's not a totally comparable situation, because they hired Mikel Arteta and Ineos didn't hire Erik ten Hag. And that was also, so it's within their best interest to have their appointment succeed. So of course they're going to back him more than a guy they didn't hire. And it's just all of it. All of the comparisons aren't totally like, this is a unique situation. Or this is the other comparison, Flex. If we sack Erik ten Hag, it's exactly the same as we've been doing for the last 10 years. And you go, well, again, the situation isn't exactly the same, because we've never had a situation where someone else has been running football operations and someone's bought into the club. And so they're going to be running things. So there's a lot of comparisons that you can take learnings from, but they're not totally the same. And that's where I think we have to be careful with just saying it's exactly like Arteta, we need to do exactly what Arsenal did, or it's exactly like the past, so we can't do what happened in the past. And that's where I think we've got to be cognizant to make sure we are constantly looking at the context of the situation, which I don't think is what we're doing at the moment as well.
Yes, I agree. Descendant of the first crack here said, what's a new manager going to win anyway? Let's back ten Hag and trust the process. He deserves 2 windows minimum with Ineos. And Adam Rabi says, most managers would struggle with these rubbish players. We need a new starting 11. Well, yeah, but Erik has contributed to this starting 11 as well. But fair play, you could say change it and give him more. The Pharaoh is in the chat. The Pharaoh has kept coming.
Acknowledge me.
There you go, 100%. You know what it means. Some people get in their feels about it, but that's a you problem. The Pharaoh has entered the chat, and the Pharaoh has said this.
Good morning. Unfortunately, Erik ten Hag is on his last legs. I'm Erik ten Hag in. I think next season will be fantastic if Erik ten Hag stays. If he goes, then we are on the stop and repeat roundabout.
Get your Pharaohs in the chat. Nubian Ferro basically saying he's Eric Ten Hag in. Saying
it's an interesting one, actually, what he's saying there. He's saying he's
Yeah.
Eric Ten Hag in, but he thinks he's on his last legs. He'd like to see him stay, but he doesn't think he will. Which is kind of, to be honest, where I'm at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's that.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm trying to hound him out. I just don't think they're going to keep him.
No.
And of course, obviously, big thank you, Nubian Ferro, for the super chat. The same for Adam as well. The same for Descendant of the First Crackhead. The same for JD Carmelo right at the top of the show. And the same for Ray Carl Brown, who everyone was questioning a little bit yesterday. And he clarified where he's at. Today, he says, we always win this every 2 years with managers. It's very bad. It's very bad not to have continuity from our club. I feel in 18 months we're back to this again. So basically, don't change Eric because we'll be back here again after 18 months, and that's what Nubian Ferro is talking about, the stop start and the roundabout situation. So yeah, I mean, what's the chat saying? In my opinion, says use Man City blueprint. People are going to say 115 charges straight away.
Yeah, cheat.
Splashnet says, I disagree. Splashnet says, this is interesting. We're getting, again, to have your say, guys, you don't have to send in super chats or members chats. Like, everyone can have their say. Let's go to the comment section, see what you guys are saying. Splashnet says, I disagree with the Pharaoh. I'm going to get fed to the Lions, LOL. Okay, listen, you can disagree. That's fine. Lincoln Lawyer, great program, by the way, says, except that Ineos want a full reset. Pin settings, full reset.
Which that's what I think. I feel like a lot of people are, maybe denial is too strong of a word, but I feel like a lot of people aren't sort of living in reality of Ineos spent money to get in, and now they've got football control, and they're going to want total control of the situation, and maybe they don't have total control over a manager they didn't hire, and it just that unless exceptional circumstances, you're in your role and you're doing so great that you can't be sacked. But that's not the case at the moment.
No,
so I think he's just a bit of a dead man walking, to be honest.
Yeah. Fat Four says, despite getting smashed by City, we had international players in the starting 11. Many of them. Coaching has surely. Oh, it's gone. It's moving so quickly. I should have kept it still there.
Despite getting smashed by City, we had international players in the starting 11. Many of them coaching has surely regressed, bros.
There you go. Lil Yo-Yo says, not even 200 likes. Violation. Push the likes up. Yes, we are nearly at 900 people, nearly 1,000 people watching live. I've got 168 likes. I'm sure we can get to that magic number, 250. Members chat from Matifalu. Big up to you, been a member for 4 months. Says, visible style of play is what we need. It helps balance out the injuries. Teams get injuries, can barely have a healthy squad all season. No excuses. And Pespian says, I don't think it makes sense to change everything except the manager. It's a new project, so we need a new everything, in my opinion. And a lot of people do share that, actually, in terms of, you know what, change it all. Big up to DJ as well, family of the channel. Says, no point getting rid of Eric Ten Hag. I've been going back and forth between a full reset and keeping the manager, but I'd keep Eric Ten Hag unless an absolute world-class manager becomes available, which is a good segue into next part of the show, because not that I'm suggesting, this manager is an absolute world-class manager.
Acknowledge me.
Nubian Ferro just split them up today. Could have gone big with one for 200. He's split them up. And Nubian Ferro has come through again. What does he say, Owen?
Finish him.
It doesn't sound right you laughing with that voice on. It sounds so creepy, bro.
Finish him. The person that disagreed with me.
Wow, sent the Lions out. Who was it again? I can't remember who it was, but yes, they did say I've disagreed with the Pharaoh. They're going to set the Lions on me. But it was Mortal Kombat vibes, Curtis. I thought it was flipping Sub-Zero.
I saw that. I thought I've got to really lean into this. It's the thing with the voice change. If you lean into it, you can turn it into anything you want. You know what I mean? You can really.
That is mental. That is mental. Big up to you, Nubian Pharaoh. Yeah, you said finish him. You've banished whoever that was. However, it's all in jest. They're not. We're not going to ban them from the channel. They're still allowed to be there. It's okay. Don't worry. The Pharaoh won't get rid of you. Ray Carl Brown says, I say that because after 13 years and 6 managers, why would it be any different? For me, Ineos has a lot to prove to me. We're not down the same road. What's it doing the same road? But yeah, I think it's what Owen said. I think we have to not be stuck in this thing of assuming that by changing Erik ten Hag, we'll fall into the same trap of doing what we've always done. And I agree with you. We absolutely shouldn't do what we've always done. But doing what we've always done would be sacking Erik ten Hag and just saying, right, these are the players. You've got Bruno, you've got Rashford, you've got Luke Shaw, you've got Varane. Come on, you've got Casemiro, mate. Come on, make it happen. I don't think Ineos are going to do that. I think what Ineos will do is change it all. Now, obviously, in one summer, when me and KG went through our sell list, like in one summer, yes, you can't do it all. You can't sell 20 players, and they won't. But you can start to undo it and go in a different way. But I don't think we should think that it's all going to be the same, because it literally won't. We are literally already in a situation that is new and different and further ahead. We've got a proper CEO. We're going to get Dan Ashworth, a proper sporting director. We're going to get a new head of recruitment. We are literally doing it all different already.
And a lot will go. And I know that we're saying, like, people are quoting like 11 and 12 leaving this summer, but a lot will go this summer just by the fact of there's people out of contract and there's people with 1 year left on their contract. So just by definition, there's going to be a lot that do go. And also, this is the other thing people don't really consider that much, is Eric's got a year left on his contract. And it might be a case of them looking at it going, now, who's to say that he does stick around for a year and then maybe he gets 6 months left in his contract and suddenly the contract negotiations are a bit tough. And it's like, actually, no, I like what's in my current contract. I like, having these say on transfers. And I mean, I'm just guessing there, but it might be easier. And I think people do have to sort of open their eyes up to this. It might be easier for Ineos where they go, we just want to get our own guy in. It's not necessarily a reflection on Eric's terrible, Eric's a fraud, Eric's never done anything good. Because, of course, he has. He's won a trophy at Manchester United. But I think from Ineos' point of view, it's easier to back a guy that they hired, that they stake their reputation on. It's easier as well to work with someone that from day dot, they know the terms that they agree to on both sides. That's something I did see in this Ole Gunnar Solskjaer interview where he goes, look, when you sign a contract, you agree to certain terms of how you're going to work with the club. Erik ten Hag didn't agree to those terms with Ineos. He agreed to those terms with Richard Arnold, with the Glazers. And those terms might change as well. Now, he might be adaptable and say, no, because he did say it in his press conference recently, I've worked in lots of different environments, lots of different structures, and, that's fine. But it might be cleaner. It might be cleaner for Ineos to do that, in particular, when things aren't going too great on the pitch as well. So I think when it comes to Ten Hag, I've said for weeks, I don't think he's going to be there unless he manages to really remarkably turn it around between now and the end of the season. And I don't see him getting that results. Again, this is when I say with the comparisons, we have to be careful where we're going, we've done this before. It's going to be exactly the same. How can it be exactly the same when exactly the same people aren't there? And exactly the same people aren't in those positions of power.
It's already different. It's already like we just see our minority shareholder, right, front of house, come out swinging, saying mad stuff. That's already different. If you're seeing these guys at the games, that's already different. And not just lip service of like, keep the fans happy. They've actually made a huge appointment from across the road at Man City. That's different. Like, he's talking about Dan Ashworth. That's different. Like, it's already different. So I hear you. Lil Yo-Yo says, Owen, can you say fatality in the Nubian voice?
Fatality.
Lil Yo just put the laughing face after that, like a little kid to just say, oh, that'd just be so funny. But here we go. Matafalu says, keep Eric because there's no world-class managers is not a reason. The grass can be greener on the other side too. Says all that it's a debate. Says Matafalu. It's an interesting point. And yes, leading into the next bit, Zerbi price set. There was a piece yesterday
Yes.
Sort of talking about Zerbi compensation, what it costed, like a release clause for him. Let's look at that article and then let's discuss.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, this came from Mike McGrath yesterday, saying that Manchester United are looking at Roberto De Zerbi as their next manager. He has admirers at the club and has a release clause set to be upwards of 12 million. By all accounts, that comes into effect this summer. And he has been linked to not just Manchester United, but Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and all of these clubs that are looking for managers this summer. He has been linked to, but it was then stressed, as we said earlier on, no decision has been made by Ineos yet over the future of Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag. But De Zerbi would be available, £12 million flex, a release clause. I suppose we then get into the territory of if we were to make a change, and this is also something I've been seeing quite a bit. If we were to make that change of, okay, we're not going to go with Erik, we're going to go with someone else. Is De Zerbi the right manager? Is De Zerbi better than Erik ten Hag? What do you make of that? Because I've seen people going, look, with Brighton, yes, he's done a good job there, and yes, he's done well, but there are some results where you see Brighton go away to the Emirates, say, and win. What did they win? 4-1 last season or whatever it was. But then you see Brighton get absolutely smashed 5 or 6-0, and you go, oof, I don't know, is that going to work? And can he implement that style of play? It's a very hardline style of play where it's like, this is how we're going to play, regardless if it works or it doesn't work. What do you think about him? Should I put a poll in the chat? Ten Hag or De Zerbi?
Yeah, put a poll in the chat. Again, I hate to be boring. I'm undivided on this one because undecided. Because I tell you, because you know why? Because you know why? I lean more to no, though. I'll say that. I will say that. I cuss him every week on DR Sports as well. They think I don't like him.
I've seen that. I've seen that as well when you brought up Brighton.
Only because
his form in the league this season has not been great. They've gone big spells with not winning games. They've done well in Europe, but they've
my thing is just the consistency. And when you look at it in a whole, look, Brighton are still not underachieving. You know what I mean? They're not. So it's like, but my thing is like we include Brighton in the big conversations when they're doing well. Then as soon as they go on a bad run, what we tend to do with De Zerbi and Brighton, go, yeah, but look at the injuries he's had, or it is only little old Brighton. Well, it's either we're going to praise them and keep them at the level that we're saying that they now are, as an extension of Graham Potter, which they have been. So when they do shit, when they go Luton and get spanked 4 and like let in a bunch of goals, you have to say, what's that? What's going on there? That was awful. When West Ham go to their place and smack them up, like you go, what's that? What's going on? Like, they've had some peculiar results, Brighton. And look, I do think the bottom line is, and this is where I have to rein in my little bias. When you're on DR Sports, you want to make a few points and you want to be a bit bright. That's the point of the show. But he still has played good football with Brighton. He still has, their first ever season in Europe. I think they finished top of the group. They've beaten. I think they beat Ajax, didn't they? In the group stages, didn't they? I want to say, or have I got that completely wrong?
Did. Yeah,
they beat AEK Athens. Ajax they beat 2-0 away. Like that's I know it hasn't been the best Ajax, but just the name and the stature of for Brighton to be doing that is incredible. And I know, like I said, I know it's not a good version of Ajax, probably the worst version of Ajax for a very long time, actually. But drew with Marseille 2-2. It's big for a team like Brighton. And De Zerbi has done a good job. He does play good football when it works. I'm just not sure about that step up to Man United. Either his temperament, when the results go bad, but you're playing that football. This does go into what KG kind of does talk about. Is the energy going to be the same? Because it's going to be De Zerbi's amazing, get him in, this, that, and the other. But when he's here and he's trying to lay the fabrics of the football and we're taking some licks and that, and, he needs to get, is the narrative going to shift after 18 months of no, he's clueless? I thought, because it is the same what we did with Erik. Look what he done with that Champions League team with Ajax. They played Real Madrid off the park. They played Chelsea off the park. Give him time when he comes. And I'm putting myself in this, by the way. I'm putting myself in it. Because when you then see a body of work at your team, you then start to go...
KG, I'll tell you what, he was so right about yesterday.
He was right.
He spoke about sort of the timeline of fan perception of someone, and he was honestly, he was spot on with it, because what he was saying is, when before they come in, they're amazing. They're great.
Wicked.
We've got to get them. We've got to get them. They come through the door, and then maybe for 6 months, yep, they're good. I can see it. I can see it. I can see it. 18 months in, they're shit. This guy's awful. This guy's terrible. He doesn't have a clue. What's he doing? And then sort of 2 years after the fact, they suddenly he was really, really good. I loved those days, Flex. I loved them. We all really enjoyed those days, didn't we? We just forget all the bad times. And he's right. We do it. I've seen people on the timeline going, break Jose. Jose was a good time, wasn't it? It was a good time under Jose. I've seen people going, it was a good time under Louis van Gaal. I'm surprised no one's got to tell you what, David boys. It was a heck of a 9 months, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's the only one we haven't really seen. We've seen the Ollie one. Well, at least we used to beat the big teams. It's on the count. They
do it under Ollie. Even, and as Katie says, even Ralph. They do it under Ralph. Ralph was a genius. And like, this is what drives me insane. I was doing this about Pogba the other day, wasn't I? Going, are we all forgetting? Like, do we just like choose not to remember the bad stuff? That's all we do. We just go, it was great. It was great. Best time. It was the best time. What did we win? Nothing. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It was great. Or it was Jose. It was a great time, wasn't it? What about the dressing room? It was in pieces, but it was fantastic. Ollie, we were all slagging him off at the time, going, he's got no tactics, freestyle football, but it was a good time. We do it. And he is right. If Erik ten Hag does leave, well, then like in 2 years' time, go, he was a brilliant coach.
Yeah. The only way we don't do it is if the person finally comes in and delivers.
Yeah,
like we actually
or like you said, David Moyes, he's so bad that there is no way to positively remember it. They just go like, it was awful, it was rubbish. So he is right when it comes to that. And with the Zerbi stuff, it's true that because he's at Brighton, and no disrespect to Brighton, but because he's at Brighton, if they do go away and they lose 4-0 on the road or 5-0 on the road, people go, I tell you what, that's terrible. But they move on. They move on very quickly, and that's it. And they still go, but look at where they are in the league, and they're in Europe. It's great, and you know, good old Brighton. United, you don't get away with that. Like United,
look what Eric's made us take absolute batterings.
Not even just that. As Erik ten Hag has proven, by the way, you can win games and you'll still be massively criticised. It's not even about the nature of defeats. Sometimes it's about the nature of the wins. You know, you can go away to Luton and where other people have struggle and win and be like, that's not good enough. And you go, what? So that will be interesting. But it's like the case, I suppose, with any emerging manager is sometimes you have to see whether they're good enough to take that leap. He might, if he did come to United, he might come to United and he might be completely revolutionise it because it's like, if he's got better players, and a bigger club and a bigger budget, he'll thrive. And if he's got that environment surrounding him, it might work out. Or he might be totally out of his depth. And it's like, not a chance, not at all. Because in the same breath, he might not come to United in the summer de Zerbi. He might go to a Barcelona. They win the league and do really well in the Champions League. And you go, I tell you what, he is good, isn't he? He's really, really good. And that's what football is. It's a gamble. It's a risk. You know, and it's a case of, would United be willing to take that risk? Would anyone else be willing to take that risk? So I don't know. I'm like a lot of people. I look at De Zerbi and I go, I appreciate his style of football. I appreciate his style of play. I do think he's a good coach. Would it work at United though? That's the key thing. Would it work at United? But if it was him or Thomas Tuchel, then I'd go, well, give me De Zerbi any day of the week. You know, that's the difference. Because I just don't think Thomas
Tuchel's a weird one because it's like he's had moments where he's good. He has had moments where he's a good manager, Thomas Tuchel. But like, because it went to pot of Chelsea, and really, I think Chelsea got rid of him too early. But then now he's gone to Bayern, and now look, it makes you go, nah. Because I think he was good at Chelsea. I think he was good.
I think he was very harshly treated. But what happened there was someone bought the club and they wanted to bring their own guy in. That was it.
Ironically, what we're talking about.
Yeah. And people point to that and go, see, it didn't work. But then again, it's not totally comparable because Chelsea are a total mess. And they had Todd Bowley come in and basically appoint himself as director of football for 12 months. And look how that worked out.
And this is a guy who we go, listen, none of the people involved at Man United right now got credit in the bank. They haven't done anything for us. You haven't won a Champions League. You haven't won a league. You haven't done anything of note. So it's like, whether it's the manager or especially the players, that's why I'm like, if it's Bruno, if it's Rashford, if it's whoever, I'm not going to be hanging on to them being like, nah, but like, remember, man, Bruno carried us to the Champions League final. Like, we won it for us. Like, he's got credit in it. Like, all the players can hold it. Like, it's fine for me. And like, if you look at Tuchel, he was someone, you know, that squad and that team, they won the Champions League like only a few years ago. That's massive. Like, it's not easy to win the Champions League, bro. It's not. I don't care who it is. And yes, it might have been stadium half capacity. They had to beat Man City in the final. That's not easy, bro. Like, it's not. So they did it. Like, he's only got on his CV, he's won the Champions League. And I know that's like saying, yeah, well,
and he got to the final of another with PSG.
And he got to the final. Exactly. So it's like, he does actually have pedigree. Like, I know people are against Tuchel and saying he's rubbish now and that and stuff. Whatever. I get it. But Tuchel won Lampard's Champions League, says Joe Blackman. See, then you can kind of switch it. So then we say, so we should go and get Lampard then.
Frank Lampard.
Let's go and get Lampard.
Champions League that season. Yeah.
No, he was
he was not winning the Champions League.
Exactly. He's come in and that's what's actually made them get better. The fact that Tuchel arrived. Matifalu says, I said that one already. Of descendant of the first crackhead. Ten Hag just sends the wrong message. No, I haven't. Descendant to the first crackhead says sacking Ten Hag just sends a wrong message to the players. They will always know that they can outlast the manager no matter what. But again, that's what I mean. I think that's what we're saying. They're on audition too. Like, yes, their contracts do depend on certain things, and it's harder to get rid of them than it is the manager. But if there's players in there thinking, bloody hell, we're safe. Oh, I'll tell you what, we're good. They've got another thing coming, because I don't believe that's the case. I think a lot of them, you know, if you're Anthony, they'll listen to offers for you, mate.
Oh, yeah.
Now, crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like, he can't just think, I'm only in my second year, going into my third year next year. I'm on massive wages. Can't get rid of me. Yes, they can.
Well,
they can.
Well, they can and they can't, because if Anthony doesn't want to go anywhere, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah, but like you said, though, that's when you push back. You know, sometimes you won't play.
That's where a director
it's really hard. They got to sell
earns their money. If they can get rid of someone, and that's going to be one of the biggest tasks for someone like a Dan Ashworth when they come in, or whoever that person is, to fix that part of it. Of you've got to sell to Anthony. Yeah, I know you like this club, and I know you like 200K a week, and I know
you think you're going to turn it around,
and I know you've got a lot of time on your deal, but it's best if you leave and take a pay cut. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's the challenge. That's the challenge, or finding a way to bridge that gap, or negotiate with the other club. Going, you're going to have to, if you really want him. Look, we screwed up in the past. If you really want him, you're going to have to help us out a little bit. You're going to have to kind of help us bridge that gap a little bit. That's tough.
And that's what's going to hurt us. Like, it is. We aren't. And you know what? You talk about patience as well. By the way, patience for the manager is one thing. Patience with Ineos coming in is also a big thing, because when they do get here, what we can't do, again, as fans, lean into what KG says, is be like, wow, so Jim's come out swinging, this, that, and the other. Oh, Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth. And then in the very first summer, when it's like, Maguire's still here, McTominay's still here. This is what I mean. Like, Anthony's still here. Like, we have to be patient, because you're right. It isn't easy to get rid of a lot of these players. As we saw last year, Harry Maguire literally went, no. Like, they agreed a fee. West Ham agreed a fee to the point where even David Moyes was basically saying in the presses, you know, we'll see what's going on. And, you know, try to say, Melissa Reddy come out with the big thing. The two parties have agreed a deal. And even when Harry did an interview, didn't he? A little while after.
And he was
like,
I never spoke to
there wasn't
David.
even a fee agreed. But, you know, mate, we know something was going on. And like we said, all of the reports were talking about the fact that, you know, to pay him off and the rest of his contract and this, that, and the other. And Harry himself, and to be fair to him, it worked for him, was like, no. Like I say, I spoke to another ex-pro and they were like, they advised Wan-Bissaka. I'll tell you what, it's not secret. I was speaking to Clinton Morrison. And obviously he knows Aaron Wan-Bissaka very well from Palace. And I was talking to him at Sky, and this was when Aaron was out the team. And he was saying to me, I remember leaving that conversation thinking, that's true. I never really thought of it like that. He said, I spoke to him. I said, bro, whatever you do, try and stay at United as long as you can. Just give it your bet, like whatever it is. And in Aaron Wan-Bissaka's, because he goes, once you leave, the only way is, no disrespect, but it's usually down, isn't it? Like, very few players, you know, top players leave Man United and go up. And so, look, with how shit we've been in recent years, you could argue that people like Ashley Young and Darmian and stuff have left and gone up because they've gone on to win stuff. Like, they won Serie A. And I get that. But I mean, the general of going to like Real Madrid Barca, like the big teams.
Yeah, for years.
You
So
know,
you
it
went
doesn't
from Man
normally
United to
happen.
Everton most of the time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
At
Or
the time.
something like that. Yeah.
So when Clinton Morrison said to me, I said to him, just stay there as long as possible. Because, you know, as a player, you have to be, when you're at the big clubs on the big buck, you don't know when your last big at that level of contract is going to be. You're probably never going to get that again.
Yeah.
So he worked in Wan-Bissaka's case, he worked his ass off. And that's why I really respect him, because he's basically pushed another 18 months out of that torrid time. So, but that leads me back into the Harry Maguire thing of like, these players, it's like, if Harry Maguire leaves Man United, what does it really look like for him? Where can he go? What can't really go up?
Look at Anthony Martial is the best example of this. In the summer, he was injured, but in the summer, it's, hey, so you got a year left in your contract, maybe look elsewhere. No, I'm on 250k a week. I'm not getting that anywhere else. You're taking the piss. No chance. January, the same too. Hey, maybe we explore something. No, I've got a year left, 250k, and they know, like they know I'm not getting it anywhere else. So it's upon Man United if they're. It's essentially, isn't it? It's okay. I'll go, but I've got written down, signed on paper that this is what I've got coming to me. So either this club I'm going to be going to, they bridge that gap, or you bridge that gap. I'm going to get it either way. And guess what? Even that, I might not want to go. I might want to just. I like it here. My family's settled. I'm going to see out my contract, because contracts in football, it's quite funny now. If you're a manager, contracts now don't mean anything, really. You can go at any point. Players, it's a bit different, isn't it? Players can dig their heels in, and they will sometimes.
Yeah.
So that they've got to unpick all of that.
They do. Aditya says, if we get Zerbi with these players for a year, why not just continue with Erik ten Hag for a year and get a new manager the season after next?
Who's to say we would have Zerbi for a year?
No, he's saying, but with these players, though, he's saying. Because you're going to have to keep these players anyway, because you can't get rid of them all. So you may as well just keep Ten Hag with them.
Some. I mean, look, when we're talking about, like, again, the sort of more cornerstones of the team, and this is the point, we mentioned this a few weeks ago, didn't we? When we were going through that big list, we were saying, it could be like 10 people that go. But in terms of what people would perceive as some of the bigger, more fundamental issues, you know, like people that go, we'll never win anything with Bruno or never anything with Rashford. Nothing's going to change with them, with their futures this summer. They're still going to play for United next summer. So I get what people are saying with that. But, you know, I don't see it as like whoever comes in is just going to inherit this squad and they're going to have everyone. There's going to be a lot of people that in there.
Yeah, there is. Catch the Deal says, are you guys serious? Ineos out. Wow. Catch the Deal wants Ineos out.
We're not serious. The whole show was a joke.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Ray Carl Brown says, okay, guys, let me ask you this. If we started to go on a bad run with Zerbi or whoever we have, as fans, going to give more than 2 years before screaming the manager out, because I don't see it. Basically, will fans have the patience, is what Ray Carl's saying. If we go for a bad run with Zerbi or whoever we have as the new manager, as fans, are we going to give more than 2 years before screaming the manager out? Because I don't see it.
It's an interesting one, because I think Sir Jim, when and this, I do think this is something that, whilst we like it as fans, it may come back to bite him. When he's saying that, well, sort of 3-4 years, I want to be competing for the Premier League, and a lot can happen in 3 or 4 years. I get that, but as Ray points out, if next season, let's say it's not a good season and it's as bad as this season or maybe even worse, and then the season after it's the same, people then will be looking at him going, you take seriously 4 seasons? You said 4 years. We're already halfway through now. What happens? So you've got to be very careful when you put timelines on things. When you put numbers on them, then people will be expecting that. And because it's going to be a big summer, and because people have got an affinity towards Erik ten Hag, if they do make that change in Ineos, which I do think they will, then some people will be saying, right, this guy's got to really hit the ground running, because I like the last manager and I thought what happened to him was unfair and he should have been given more time. So if we come in and we do the same or we do worse, then it's a bit like the Chelsea situation. Is they'll be going, see, we made the wrong decision. You screwed us up now, and now we've got to unpick that. So I get that. I get that there is trepidation when it comes to it. To ask, are we going to give him 2 years? I think it depends on what their view on Erik ten Hag is, because there'll be some people that I think will be so devastated by Erik ten Hag leaving that they might not even want to give the new manager that much time.
I'm not over it yet.
It'll be getting off on the wrong foot. It'll be like, see, the first loss. See, we go. That's it.
Yeah.
It's going to be difficult.
Exactly. Matty Farley says, if we say consistency for Zerbi and Brighton, then how is it different with Erik and United? Maybe not have both. Let the structure decide and back them. Catch the Deal says, I'm officially Ineos out. Nice are 5th. With this appointment, we will finish mid-table. Eric can be bad, but he will always get you top 4. Well, we'll find out this year if he always.
It didn't take long for Ineos out. they were officially in for like a month. Ineos out. Get rid of them.
It really didn't. It really didn't. Well, there you go, guys. I mean, look, interesting shows you the poll. Who is better? Very simple. Who is better? Ten Hag, De Zerbi, or undecided? 56% of you say Ten Hag is better, so Ten Hag wins that. And it's really close between De Zerbi and undecided. To be fair, but Ten Hag is the big winner there. That I think 56% of you are saying that Ten Hag is better than De Zerbi. So stick with him instead.
I think it's a thing of, and I do agree with this. I do. There is a thing in me as a Man United fan that is very uncomfortable with being like, the person who's currently in the job, you're rubbish. This guy's better. This guy's better. Because you always want to back your guy. Whilst they're in post, it's kind of the same when they're on with a football player, isn't it? Whilst they're on the pitch, and you might say, oh, they shouldn't be at the club. But once if they're on the pitch and they're playing, you back them. And you do support them, don't you?
Yeah.
So I think part of that comes in the same way that if it was someone else that come in, you'd support them. You'd have opinions on them. You support them. But I only see this getting more divisive.
Yeah. Of course it is.
It's already started.
And also, Owen, away from that, you've got to remember, then we live in the and I don't want to say knee-jerk because it's just the truth. The games are getting chalked off, one by one each week. And, like I said to KG yesterday, and if we lose against Everton at home, I'm not saying we're going to, I'm just saying, if we did, mate, you may as well just pack up. You may as well just pack up. You honestly, because then after the Everton game, it's the Liverpool game. If we lose the next 2 games, it'd be over. Like the whole thing's over.
Well, and this is the thing, isn't it? Is I was sort of saying that the City game. It sounds crazy to say you're not going to judge a Manchester United manager on the Manchester derby, but that one was predictable because we all knew the result going into it. I think the real things that will determine Erik ten Hag's fate this season are those home losses that nobody saw coming, like the Fulhams and all that kind of stuff. And it would be the same with Everton, wouldn't it? It'd be like, that can't happen.
Yeah, and I think we'll beat Everton, but if we didn't,
I do.
That is not the right prep you need. And then you play Liverpool next, don't you? Because Sheffield United, that's been postponed, so it's Everton, and then it's
Liverpool, and then the break,
Yeah, 17th of March to the 30th of March. Really? So out of the international break, we face Brentford.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Liverpool again, isn't it?
No, then it's Chelsea away,
and then Liverpool.
Then it's Liverpool. So that's listen.
We've got a tough April.
I'll tell you what, mate. Do you know what I mean? If you go to Brentford and hold Corn, then you go Chelsea. If you hold it there off them, then you play Liverpool after that to try and bounce back after losing against Chelsea. And this is me being the pessimistic. Look, at the end of the day, you could beat Everton, your tails are up. If we knock Liverpool out the FA Cup, we'll feel 10 feet tall.
But yeah, so I mean, if you win those games and you're like, right, there's something to hold on to. Here we go.
Exactly. So we'll see. We did get over 250 likes. We got to nearly 300, which is big up to you guys. Just over 1,000 people watching. So thank you to everyone who's tuned in. What have we got coming in? There is a super chat there. We'll get to that before we leave. We will have, like I said, a reaction to the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer piece, and just I'm going to watch it, get my head into it, see what I think, give you my thoughts later on in the Flex's view. So look out for that. You guys enjoy the Flex's view. Ketchadil says Glazers are relaxing. They know Ineos will fail. I respect the Glazers. Wow. No one is a Glazer out. Very soon, all the problems will be Ineos' fault. Interesting.
I think people are still very much Glazer out. You know what I mean? I think very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's changed.
No, exactly. Guys, smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you for watching. Thank you for everyone getting involved in super chats, in members chats. Big up to all the members of the UV Members Club. Big up to you guys in the comments who are here with us every morning. Big up to all the silent listeners, silent watchers as well.
Yes.
Not everybody, it's like listening to the radio. Not everybody gets in and calls in and lets people know that they're watching. Otherwise, there would be 990 super chats or 990 comments. So, yes, big up to all the silent people just got us on in the background and enjoy the show as well. So, yeah, it's been great. Take care, guys, and we'll see you with another video later on today. Peace.